I feel really skeptical if sexual pressure of humans' reproductive behavior is a foundation of prosperity of descendants. If people feel instinctive sexual pressure in reproductive behaviors, which means animals also have the same feeling like sexual pressure, so is animals' reproductive behavior based on uninhibited sexual desire, like they have sex with each other to just satisfy their sexual desire, sexual pleasure? I'm not really sure about it, but maybe they have the feeling of sexual pleasure, same as we have. But as long as I observe why animals' reproductive behavior, their reproductive behavior is just programmed as one of the functions of ecosystem. And while animals don't have a sex to simply satisfy their, sexual desire, but they have a sex with clear objective to leave offspring to contribute to food chain circulation system in nature. So I don't think they don't get out of, elaborate programmed ecosystem. So they don't have free will to do something good for themselves, but their activities are all programmed in the nature. So if not so, the law and order of food chain system in the nature in the wild animal world will be easily collapsed, and it will be almost impossible to maintain the balance of the number of species in the ecosystem in the nature. But the truth is like the existence that collapses wild animals ecosystem from the outside is human beings, after all. So sexual desires is undoubtedly instinct for human beings in the sense that we give birth to children in our society. It's humans' desire that only pursue sexual desires to satisfy their sexual pleasure instinct. So it is quite difficult for me to believe in the fact that having sex with someone to just satisfy their sexual pleasure without having interest in giving a birth to children is instinct. If sexual pleasure is healthy, instinctive reaction for human beings to leave offspring in our society, how can you explain that people pursue sexual pleasure to have strong physical relationship with the opposite sex, although they don't intend to have children, they don't intend to give birth to children? So I suspect if human sexual desire is mostly driven by egoism, which is totally beyond the range of instinct, so if humans' reproductive behaviors don't exceed a allowed range of instinct, even if we could recognize the possibility of immorality in our society to some extent, I think there should be no sexual crimes and there should be no place to have a sex with prostitute in our society. Don't you think? So if having sex with someone doesn't mean anything more than the meaning of reproductive behavior that we give birth to children in our society, nobody will get an idea to possess the opposite sex for a long time on the pretext of the feeling of love and pursue physical relationship with each other fiercely because of mutual dependence. But people will probably place more importance on independent mental connection with each other. Like, I think the concept of love changes, and the concept of love comes to have more elements of respect each other and merciful hurt and altruistic behavior, which are totally not like mutual dependence relations based on mutual possessive feeling to the opposite sex. So probably the element of free will and sexual pleasure and possessive feeling towards the opposite sex increase people's sexual desire more and more and make people abandon themselves to do reproductive behavior just for getting sexual pleasure. So there is an opinion that animals' reproductive behavior is way more indiscriminate and freewheeling than that of human beings. But as long as I compare both reproductive behavior, human sexual abandon overwhelmingly goes too far. So, various kinds of social problems that are attributed to sexual desire and sexual pleasure mostly threaten morality in our society. But so I don't understand why God gives us a feeling like sexual pleasure that has a huge risk that we may probably cause trouble and that we may probably harm to a society, do a harm to society, even though it is obvious that people go out of control to get more sexual pleasure and abandon ourselves to have more sex with someone. So, sexual pleasure is one of the most difficult feelings that we overcome, even with our reason. So, after all, human beings has never overcome the problem of extreme sexual desire since the dawn of history for thousands of years. So, even me, I would have no confidence to resist my unexpected sexual desire if I spent time alone together with, a glamorous girl in a room.